the opposite is also true. When something wonderful happens to you, let's say you suddenly, well, some people think something wonderful would be to win the lottery, or you get the big promotion, or you suddenly become famous. Many people want that. They think that would be the greatest. They've asked many youngsters, what do you really want to become in life? In the past, the youngsters used to say, I want to become whatever, a fireman, or I want to become a footballer, I want to become whatever. But now, a significant section of people, youngsters that they asked, they say, I want to become famous. This is the effect of things like Instagram and so on. Some say, I want to become an influencer. Instagram influencer has relatively little meaning, but so famous is something that many people think that's the greatest thing that could happen to you. So let's then the other extreme, something that's great happens to you and you feel, wow, wonderful, great. Yes, but even that, you don't completely lose yourself in that. It doesn't take you over to an absurd degree where you overvalue an external circumstance to an absurd degree. The overvaluing of an external circumstance that happens to you, you say, that's it. No, it's not. So you can be pleasant. So it's great, you're happy. Yes, you're happy. But you're not lost in your happiness. There's still the same background of peace. Because if something makes you happy, some circumstance makes you happy, very often the same circumstance at a later point will make you unhappy. So I have met quite a few so-called famous people, and they've told all the same story. At first they were elated, and then they became actually more unhappy than they were before because they could no longer project some future state that's going to make them happy because they had already achieved all the things that they could have projected in conventional terms. They could have projected that could make them happy. Lots of money, a private jet, fame and fortune. Got all that, what now? So you don't lose yourself neither in the so-called negative things that happen, nor in the so-called positive things that happen. So you remain rooted in the being dimension. What happens on the level of the person, yes, you can be happy. Unhappiness, really deep unhappiness does not happen anymore. You can be kind of feel sorry about something that happened, but it's not really unhappiness. Some spiritual teachers use the term happiness, but I believe it's not. Maybe it's a mistranslation. Some teachers say your true nature is happiness. I wouldn't use the term to describe the deeper state of connectedness with being. I would not describe that as happiness, because happiness is, wow, isn't it great? Yeah, great, so wonderful. Oh, and then the next day, oh my God, oh no. That's unhappiness, happiness, unhappiness. I believe in the Power of Now, I wrote a chapter that's, the title of the chapter is Beyond Happiness and Unhappiness, There is Peace. Beyond happiness and unhappiness, there is peace. And so that means neither the happiness nor the unhappiness are that pronounced anymore. You haven't lost anything. The enjoyment of life, you might think, oh, I can't enjoy the good things anymore. No, you still enjoy them, but you don't overvalue circumstances. And so the feeling of goodness comes from a deeper place. It does not come from the circumstances of your life. That's where you're going, where you're moving towards. So don't expect to be totally free of the fluctuating, somehow superficial reaction to the circumstances of your life. They're a little bit there, a little bit, but not at the deepest core. You're rooted in being. So you become no longer at the mercy of circumstances in your life. You welcome the good things and you accept the not good things. There's surrender, acceptance. Unless you can change something, you accept, you welcome, and that's in a strange way, you'll find that in the good times, things are all going well, you're less likely to awaken than in the bad times. That's universally true. In your comfort zone, you are less likely to awaken. Because who would want to awaken from a pleasant dream? Oh, it's so nice. But when the pleasant dream turns into a nightmare, then the incentive to awaken is really there. I can't stand this anymore. And so it's only when you're out of your comfort zone that spiritual awakening becomes possible. So welcome whatever arises. Still be pleased when it's good, and when it's not good or it doesn't look good, then practice acceptance. And if you cannot accept at first, and you feel angry or sad, then you practice secondary acceptance. First acceptance is what the circumstance or the event. Secondary acceptance is you might feel angry or sad about something, then you simply accept that you feel angry or sad right now. So if you miss the first chance of acceptance, then you react, and then you become aware of your reaction, and then you say, okay, I feel sad or angry. That's what is right now. So you always get another chance of acceptance. And the acceptance is the doorway that always connects you or reconnects you with the dimension of being. That's the opening into being through the acceptance. Acceptance of what is this moment. Acceptance of what is connects you with the being dimension. When you accept what is, you're no longer, as far as your inner state is concerned, you're no longer at the mercy of what is out there. So you realize your inner state is no longer dependent on external conditions. And that's a wonderful liberation, because external conditions are extremely unstable. Nothing lasts for very long. Question is what others think of you. To what extent does it affect me? Does it affect you? What others think of you? Well, the more you are identified with an image of who you are, which is ego, the more important it will be to you what image of you other people have. So the degree to which you are free from being affected by other people's opinion of you, that depends on your connectedness with the deeper dimension of who you are beyond the person, the being dimension. When you're rooted in being, then whatever opinion somebody may have of you is not terribly important anymore. Yes, of course, it's nicer for other people to think you're a great person than for other people to think you're a bad person. It may affect you a little bit if somebody thinks badly of you, and you feel a little bit happy when some other people think well of you. That's fine, but it doesn't affect you at the deepest level. The main work is to awaken to who you are beyond the person, then yes, you still get affected a little bit by what other people think of you, but not at a deep level anymore. And then you can tolerate even not being liked by others. When you become well known, then obviously anybody who does something in this world to make a difference, no matter what you do, will also generate a lot of opposition and dislike. So anybody, no matter what you do, when you create something, you put yourself out there, many people may love you and others may hate you. I realized that many years ago when the first book came out and then the internet started happening, and I started reading comments on what other people thought of the power of now. And at first they were all wonderful. And I said, oh, I feel that's very nice. I feel good. And then as it became more widespread and reached other people in the mainstream, then a certain segment were very negative. And I could feel a little bit of, reading a negative comment doesn't not feel as good as reading a positive comment. And then later on, as I became more well-known, then many, many positive comments, just wonderful. And like 5%, 10% very negative comments about this dreadful guy. Who does he think he is? Terrible charlatan, the Antichrist, all kinds of course, Antichrist must be true because I'm helping people find inner peace, so it must be the Antichrist, of course, anyway. So, but I found the strange thing is the negative comments are more memorable than the positive ones. That's just how the human mind works. So I could read 30 positive comments and 3 negative comments, and the next day I would forget all the positive comments. I still remember the negative ones. This is how all human minds operate. Negative things are more memorable than positive things, it seems. I call that stickiness. They have a stickiness. They get they're sticky thoughts in your mind. Anyway, I decided then at some point not to read any comment. And for the past years, I haven't read hardly any comment about what anybody says. It doesn't matter. I don't want the stickiness of the negative ones or the good ones. It's fine. I let go of that completely. And that's very liberating. But in the greater context of the virus, now you might have noticed that there's an enormous amount of emotion around it in human beings. There's an enormous amount of animosity towards one group against another group. There's an enormous amount of fear around it. And fear, of course, as we know, diminishes your ability to think rationally. I could tell you now what my position is about the virus and the vaccine and so on, but I'm not going to, because who cares what my position is? And if I told you what my position is, if I either said those who refuse the vaccine are they're irresponsible and selfish and they're not thinking of others and it's just dreadful, or if I said those who take the vaccines and who love the mandates, they are really they are sheep. They're just allowing themselves to be manipulated by these irrational, crazy politicians, and they're total sheep. They don't know what they're doing. Whatever I said, I would lose 1/3 of my audience in whatever direction, because there would be a reaction. He's against the vaccine, or he wants us to be sheep, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. The important thing, my job, is to help you birth the awareness. When the awareness is there, you will know what is right for you to do, because that's wisdom arises with the awareness. I'm not here to convince you of this or that, or whatever it may be, political or whatever it may be. It's all secondary. It's all secondary. The main work is my purpose, and for some of you, it's arising as your purpose also, is to be the bringer of awareness to this world. Your contribution to this world is awareness, consciousness. Then humans, when the awareness is there, whatever humans decide to do will come from a place of wisdom. Wisdom, a word that's not used a lot nowadays, but it's extremely important, that any decision you make comes from the deeper place of wisdom. And so whatever it is, be very alert so that you don't get taken over by a fear reaction. And on top of fear, often anger arises. Anger, in most cases, there's fear underneath anger. There's anger, and then comes the fear. There's fear, and then comes anger. So if you're angry with a group of humans who are not have the opposite views from your views, then it's something to be aware of, to observe in yourself, and to observe your thoughts, and to observe the emotion. Bring awareness to whatever it is that you feel. Anger is a good thing to be aware of when you notice it. Where does it come from? What thoughts are creating the anger? What thoughts in your mind? What is the fear beyond it? Our society has been very reluctant to deal with death or the possibility of death. So to some extent, the virus, although the likelihood that an individual, unless the individual is old or has certain preconditions in health, the likelihood may be relatively small that you die of the virus unless you're careless or you're old or already ill. The possibility is there. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to look death in the face, the inevitability of death, because don't wait until death is actually very close to you, but you never know how close it is, but become aware of the inevitability of death and the fact that human life, the life of form, is short-lived, and become aware of that in you that is beyond death, which means it is the invisible you, which is almost all of you, is an invisible being, and die to the image of who you are, the person. So there's no longer total identification with the person. The being is eternal. The being beyond the person is eternal. The Buddhists use the term the deathless, amara, deathless, no death. It is a dimension in yourself that you can become aware of. In fact, it is the awareness itself. Jesus called it eternal life, which is the same thing. Eternal means timeless, eternal life. So, die, the famous saying, die before you die. Die to who you think you are. Die to the egoic image of who you are. And you die in every moment when the stream of thinking stops and a space of awareness arises, you have died for a few seconds.